There are many drivers coming into tonight with different agendas, but above all else, everybody wants to both win and make the playoffs. First off, the race win is the top of everyone's minds coming into tonight's race. Darlington is one of the toughest tracks on the schedule, and as everybody at home knows, winning here can really make the difference in a driver's career. Everybody wants to win at the Darlington Raceway. But of course, we also have playoffs to talk about. And namely, these drivers on the bubble have a lot to look out for tonight. Going down the order, 5th in points, Christian Peterson only needs to start the race to clinch a spot in the playoffs. So for him, it'll be smooth sailing throughout the night. But things aren't so easy for 6th place through 14th. Zach Henry needs to finish 19th or better. William Barbagelata, 15th. Spencer Owens, 11th. Then things get tricky. 9th in points, Elliott Henderson needs to finish 4th or better to guarantee himself a spot in the playoffs. Matthew Weeks comes into tonight's race only 4 points above the cut line, and there we have the cut. Jared Duda, winner at Pocono, comes in 4 points back after a disastrous late race turn of events at Dover. Behind him, Ashton Lawson, who was stolen of a victory earlier this season at Watkins Glen, comes in 21 back. Terrell Baker, 26 back, and Nicholas Caressel, 30 back. There's long shots. There's drivers that have a chance to make it, and standing by with both Matthew Weeks, who is just inside the playoffs, and Jared Duda, who is out by 4, is my co-broadcaster, Ross Brockman. Ross, over to you on pit road.
Yeah, we're excited to make this this race here go and see what happens. I'm excited to see how this goes for each of these playoff drivers that are on the bubble, having to do the math, having to figure out what's their best way, trying to secure a chat with a couple of our drivers on the bubble, but struggling to do so. I think most of them trying to make sure that they have their belts tight, their settings right, and make sure they're good to go. So that's where we're at right now as they're leaving the start-finish line off the grid, with Ashton Lawson out front, our pole sitter. He's going to be one that's trying to gain some points to get into the playoffs tonight.
He might be a long shot driver, but out of this field, he has struck first. Ashton Lawson will be leading them to green alongside Matt Duran. Row 2, Elliott Henderson starts to the inside of Jared Darling. Let's go ahead and go through the rest of your starting lineup. Ross, starting with you.
Yeah, starting in the 5th position was Will Barbagelata, and to his outside will be the 12 of Zach Henry.
Then behind them, Tony Manji starts to the inside of Matthew Weeks. Weeks, of course, comes into this race only 4 points inside the playoffs, so he'll be one to watch out for tonight.
Next row we have in 9th, the 7 of Hunter Manalinas, our points leader, going to just go for a win tonight, already locked in, and to his outside is Jackson Sims in that 6th truck.
Then row number 6, Eric Kepf starts to the inside of Chris Heller.
Next we have the 92 of Michael Senzi. Alongside him is the 49 of Shane Neiswanger.
Hunter Brittle and Brett Kingcott round out row number 8.
Starting in the 17th spot is the 8 of Tyrell Baker. He's down in the points, going to try to gain some points to get into the playoffs tonight. Going to dig through a hole to start here and towards the back. 18th is the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald.
And in row 10, Nicholas Caressel starting 19th. We'll start to the inside of Aiden DuPont. We're going to go ahead and let the starting lineup roll across your screen to finish it out. Ross, 160 laps ahead of these drivers at one of the toughest tracks in all of NASCAR. What are you expecting out of this race tonight?
Well, I think this is typically a race here in this series where you may have your rash of cautions, but we also have seen green flag runs. We're hoping to see those tonight, and I think if we do, you're going to see multiple pit stops. I think this is at least a 3-stop race, if not 4 when it comes to tires, because tires can be such a premium on this rough racetrack.
Tire is going to be something to look out for tonight, as will be the playoffs, as will be that treacherous turn 2, which we've seen catch drivers out throughout racing history. It's time to get started for the last race of the regular season. Let's go from Darlington. field comes off turn number 4. We are clean and green through lap number 1. Ashton Lawson leading away. He's got about 1 second in hand over Matt Durr in second as the rest of the field single files out through turns 1 and 2. You gotta imagine that at the top of everyone's minds right now is just surviving through the early portion of this race. Down the back straightaway they go.
Yeah, pretty much single file since the start. We're looking to hear at Matthew Weeks and Hunter Madalinas. Probably the last little battle that after a lap got sorted out. But yeah, this single file train, I think especially early on, just getting the truck underneath you, going into turn 1, you don't really want to go side by side if you can help it. But yeah, a lot of minding their P's and Q's so far.
And you definitely want to protect for the long run. Tires are a premium at this racetrack, and in my experience, especially with this truck, if you go too hard too early, not only are you going to be struggling for grip, you're going to be struggling for rear grip, and that can be disastrous. I mean, the last thing you want at Darlington is to be struggling lap after lap from spinning out of control. We got a side-by-side battle between, I believe that's Hunter Brittle on the outside. Kind of hard to tell with a lot of these throwback paint schemes in the field. But yes, that's Gavin Fitzgerald on the outside of Hunter Brittle as Hunter Brittle gets loose coming off turn number 2. They're going to be 3 wide, back down to 2 into turn number 3. And there goes Terrell Baker in that blank white number 8 truck. He's up into 16th. So that kind of shows how you can really take advantage of other drivers starting to get racy by just waiting your turn.
Yeah, and you get side by side in these tighter corners, especially turns 1 and 2, and it just kills your momentum, and the driver behind can sometimes jump, you or the other person you're racing. And yeah, the 8 truck there got 2 for 1, which is nice to get here early in this race.
But speaking of momentum, look at how much speed these guys are carrying around the corners. You can't see it as much in 3 and 4, but watching 1 and 2, these trucks have so much downforce, and on fresh tires, you can just rocket through the corners. We're riding on board here with Matt Durr as he reels in Ashton Lawson in the race lead.
You try to get a little bit of a run off of the middle of 1 and 2 and try to set them up in 3 and 4. That's always what I like to do. It's the best way to... getting a little high. Durr's in the wall just a little bit. Here comes Henderson to the inside.
Matt Durr tags the wall, move Elliott Henderson up into second. Behind them, a side-by-side battle will go in favor of Jared Darling, but here comes Hunter Madalina sticking his nose up the inside of Zach Henry. Additionally, they're side-by-side for third. Will Barbagelata on the bottom, trying to make a move on Matt Durr, but he's going to get a little bit tight out of turn number 2 and lose that spot. Hopping out of line is the one of Jared Darling. He got loose out of turn number 2 and gets cleared by both Zach Henry and Hunter Madalinas.
Yeah, we just saw that Barbagelata and Durr battle kind of do that, pull each other back off of 2, and it kind of had Darling having to make an evasive maneuver, and that's kind of what caused him pulling out of line and losing some spots. Now
Madalinas is on the move again. He's side by side with Zach Henry through turns 1 and 2. He got a good drive off turn number 2, able to keep Zach Henry from getting a run on the high side. Going into turn number 3, watch for Madalinas to drive it in on the bottom. He's not quite there. Henry holds tough on the outside. Side by side out of turn number 4. Zach Henry not giving in.
And this is the scary part. Entering turn 1 side by side, it's sometimes a game of chicken. Looks like Henry is going to give up that spot to Madalinas. Definitely want to single file if you don't want to, especially with a bunch of trucks right behind you.
It really is a game of chicken. You saw right there Hunter Madalina just squeezing Zach Henry to the outside wall, making sure that Henry had only just enough room to make it into the corner. Now we're watching Elliott Henderson up in the second spot. Henderson came into this race 9th in points, definitely not safe from elimination. He needed a 4th place finish to secure a spot in the playoffs, but right now he is going above and beyond, running in the 2nd spot. Great night so far for Elliott Henderson, but we are, of course, only on lap 10.
Something to think about with Elliott here, maybe trying to use up his tires. You do get a bonus point for leading the lap in this series, so that would go a long way for a guy that's just a couple points up on the playoff cut line.
And on the other side of that cut line is Jared Duda. You see him side by side with Hunter Brittle down the front straightaway. Duda came into this race with a win under his belt, but behind the cut line. He makes that move to get himself up into 18th, but it's not a great start to the night so far for Jared Duda, outside the top 15.
Yeah, kind of starting with a hole to dig out of for sure. Another guy that started towards the back is Christian Peterson, one of our guys that's won multiple races this season. Here he's to the inside of Aiden DuPont. Looks like he's going to clear him. Another guy that has to dig out of this hole early on.
Christian Peterson can breathe easy knowing that by starting this race, he guaranteed himself a spot in the playoffs. Now he is hounding the 91 of Austin Moore, trying to make a move up into the 21st position. But a lot of drivers that we've seen as heavy hitters so far this series are starting to struggle a little bit tonight. You know, you look at your Christian Petersons, your Jared Dudas, they are not running as they have been throughout the rest of the year. But of course, it's still very, very early. A lot can change as the short run cars start to fall off and the long run cars come in. Side by side battle for 6th. Jared Darling on the outside of Zach Henry is able to keep that spot. Henry gets a little bit slow out of the corner. That's going to let Tony Manji look to the outside with Matthew Weeks waiting in the wings as well. 3 cars under a blanket into turn number 3.
And this is another part of the track where if you can get a good run off the outside, you can pass on the outside. And I think it's kind of the preferred lane in entering 1 and 2 if you can keep the momentum up. Manji's going to try to stay up there. Pinch Henry down a little bit on the exit.
Manji's in a pretty good spot through 1 and 2, but he gets sideways, nearly tags the wall. That'll send Henry and Weeks scrambling down the back straightaway, but it opens up the door for Matthew Weeks, who now looks to the inside of Zach Henry, trying to make up more and more spots as he fights to keep his spot in the playoffs. Henry with the run off turn 4, going to clear for 7th. Matthew Weeks going to have to slide back in line with a net gain of 1 over Tony Manji.
And it gets to the point where you want to either try to pass a couple drivers and then start maybe saving some tire, or save some tire and do the other way. But Madalinas is probably our biggest mover. He's up looking for his 5th spot here around Barbara Gelata, up in the top 5. That's for 4th. Our biggest mover.
He just muscled his way past the 27 truck going into turn number 3. Hunter Madalinas, we know he's one of the more aggressive drivers in this league. He started 9th. He is up to 4th in only 16 laps time, but we'll have to see what that does to the long run pace of that military green number 7 truck.
Yeah, it's typical paint scheme. We got a lot of drivers running there. Some throwbacks this tonight, with it being Darlington, something that this series has done. It's like Ashton with a throwback U.S. Navy on the hood of that Ford Credit truck. Elliott, that's a kind of a typical Elliott paint scheme, but one that's has some new looks and also some history in this league for sure.
Maybe a Bobby Carter throwback there out of the 37 truck. Hopefully someone gets that. Side by side behind, Matthew Weeks working up the inside of Zach Henry. He's going to muscle his way up into 7th. That battle sort of uncontested as Matthew Weeks charges further inside the top 10. Caution's out. We got a caution on the racetrack, and it's Hunter Brittle backwards in turns 3 and 4. Oh, whoa, and he's driving down the track. Nearly got into the 2 of Preston Henry. Luckily, everybody avoids any further contact, but our first caution of the night is out, and it's for Hunter Brittle. Not one of our playoff bubble drivers, so luckily nothing has changed there, but let's go ahead and take a look at a replay and see what happened.
Yeah, and Preston Henry there, you saw him kind of enter the screen late. He kind of lost the rest of the pack here. I think most of the pack was kind of close together, and not sure if he had some issues, but as a driver sitting there parked, you're thinking, oh, maybe everybody's gone through. I don't know if that was what the 10 was thinking, but looks like the 13 truck got in the wall, Lewis Woodall, and kind of brought the 10 into the wall with him.
Yeah, if we get another angle here, you'll see that that number 13 truck, it's bright yellow, pretty hard to miss. Just got a little tight in the middle of 3 and 4, bounced off the wall, and that's what really got Brittle, is that when he did bounce off the wall, he kind of hooked it hard left into the right rear of Hunter Brittle and spun him around. So that's going to bring out your first caution of the night.
This caution is going to fall right on the edge, or pretty much right on our fuel window, if you want to make sure you can go the longest edge of the fuel window. So everybody, looks like every single truck coming down, I imagine 4 tires and fuel. This is definitely kind of a perfect timing for kind of that medium run of 20 laps. I think you're going to want to go closer to 40 once we get going green.
We'll have to see if anybody decides to risk it on 2 tires, but as of now, I'd assume everybody is coming in for 4. Tires, of course, falling off quite quickly here at the Speedway. Hunter Madalinas out of his box first, but I believe it is going to be Ashton Lawson winning the race off pit road. Elliot Henderson comes out second, Matt Durr out third, and William Barbagelata comes out in fourth. 3 wide behind with Chris Heller on the high side, but they are all able to get out cleanly. Business as usual at the front of the field. And while we are under this caution, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings and see where we stand as we work lap 20 of 160. So Matthew Weeks is he's advanced his position by 1. Spencer Owens is now the last driver in, with Ashton Lawson about 9 points back. So Lawson is kind of in this this awkward position where he doesn't have a lot to gain, but he definitely has a lot to lose.
He's doing everything right so far, though. At least what you can control. Obviously, grabbing the pole, that's a bonus point in this series. Leading the lap is a bonus point. And also leading the most laps, which he's done that so far. He will have to run a little bit longer to clinch that, but that's max point stay is what he's going to want to do to have at least a chance to capitalize on maybe one of these top 10 drivers, that 6 through 10 drivers, maybe having a mistake or having an issue tonight to get in.
Yeah, he definitely, though, he needs either Spencer Owens or Matthew Weeks to have something go wrong. What I like about that graphic is it shows you the position that Jared Duda is in. If he can pick up the pace here, he's got a lot more points to gain than Ashton Lawson does, just by virtue of being further in the pack. So we'll see how that shakes out as the pace truck enters turn number 3, and we get set for a restart here, the first one of the night. At Darlington. Of course, off the initial start, everyone got single filed out pretty quickly, so we'll have to see if the drivers played a little bit more aggressively this time around. Pace truck is in. The field is in the hands of Ashton Lawson as he rounds turns number 3 and 4. He'll drop off the banking now and lead the cavalry back into the restart zone. We are back underway at Darlington.
Lawson's going to make Durr and Henderson have to race side by side. A couple other side by side battles up there. Gets really tight off of 2 here. Able to keep
Henderson gets a little bit loose. Oh, trouble on the back straightaway. I believe that's Chris Heller into the outside wall. We all keep it straight. Good recovery out of the field. Jared Duda, one of your bubble drivers, was right in that mix, and Chris Heller is going backwards.
Yeah, that's going to be some pretty big damage there. Looks like he's back up to speed, and that's part number 1.
Battle inside the top 10. Matt Durr going side by side with Jared Darling. Darling on the high side has the run down the back straightaway, and with a push from Zach Henry, will clear into turn number 3. Now Henry going to look to the outside of Matt Durr, who's had an atrocious restart. He started up inside the top 5. He's fallen down to 7th.
Yeah, kind of depending on the lane you get in, you can lose some spots, you can gain some spots. It looks like Heller's going to come down pit road.
So Chris Heller makes the dive for the pit road. He was locked into the playoffs coming in, so that shouldn't affect him too badly. Meanwhile, down the back straightaway, Jared Duda is looking up the inside of Eric Kep. He'll send it into turn number 3, but Kep holds tough on the outside. Every point matters here for Jared Duda, especially after that race-ending crash last week in Dover. Move Duda up a spot. Now we got a battle in front of them. Tony Manji on the inside of Henry. A squeeze to the outside wall by the 24 truck. Henry has to concede the spot, and Tony Manji moves up into 9th.
Another one of those moments of playing chicken in turns 1 and 2. The longer we go, the less likely people are going to give up to the other driver, and that's maybe a taste of what we're going to see later on in this race.
Side by side between Jackson Sims and Jared Darling. Sims has the advantage into turn number 1. Sorry, that's Sims versus Durr. And by cutting the apron just a little bit, Sims able to move up a position. Now Tony Manji trying to take advantage and move down the inside of Matt Durr. But Durr's going to get the run off the high side and hold that position.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, I mean, early on in these runs, you want to gain positions because these drivers are all stacked up. We talked about losing momentum because you're racing somebody. It's a definition race the track, not the pack. When you start racing the pack, then all of a sudden the people that are are focused on hitting their marks on this track, they can really gain on you. So it's one of those things. A lot of these drivers that are able to ride a little bit, they can put some distance on their competitors for sure.
Well, Tony Mangi's definitely not thinking about riding. He is hungry for more. He's looking at the inside of Matt Durr through 3 and 4. Durr looking to be just a little bit off the pace here. But he is... Whoa! They nearly wrecked down the front straightaway. Mangi was just clear enough to get back in line, but just about turned around the 44.
Hey, I'm right here. Just letting you know. I think he's going to try again to the inside. No, not close enough.
Yeah, Mangi's getting pretty impatient here. He wants to get a move on. It seems like Matt Durr is maybe not running the pace that Mangi would like. You see Chris Heller there in that black truck at the top of your screen getting out of the way over to the left. So he'll stay out of harm's way as we ride on board with Tony Mangi trying to move up through the field.
You see Durr has a little bit of damage on the right rear of that truck. Mangi's going to look to the inside off of 2. That's a really tough spot to be in.
Yeah, Mangi is really getting aggressive here. It's backing both of them up to the 12 of Zach Henry. But something you see pretty often here at Darlington is drivers looking to be maybe more aggressive than some of their competitors. Jared Duda makes an aggressive move. He's going to cut left on Zach Henry. It'll be side by side down into turn number 1. But Duda not able to clear, nearly turns himself into the wall off of Henry's bumper. But Duda keeps the spot. Great move, aggressive move by the driver of the 53 to get himself up into the top 10.
Yeah, we've seen Henry kind of almost get forced into making some decisions, and that's something that you kind of, at this track, can get a little frustrated. You're the one that's, being polite to your competitors, but you're the one also losing time. So tough spot to be when you keep getting kind of squeezed for these positions.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you really just got to be fast enough to outdrive everybody trying to make these aggressive moves. The problem is, you have to balance that pace with tire saving. Tony Mangi is going forward again. He's up the inside of Matt Durr into 3 and 4 this time. He squeezes Durr a little bit higher, but Durr with that wider radius almost got the run off. He choked up a little bit out of turn number 4. Here comes Tony Mangi, and move Mangi up into 8th, having a great night so far.
Yeah, it looked like Durr kind of checked up a little earlier into 1, kind of giving Mangi that spot. I think that's a great move. When you're lap 32 of 160, you don't want these guys with Duda and Henry right behind you, two fast trucks. You want to be able to just get back in line and kind of keep your momentum, so that way you can maybe protect these positions, or at least take some time with these other trucks trying to get around you. I think that's a smart move this early in the race to do that.
Truck in the wall out of turn number 4. Gavin Fitzgerald just tapped the outside wall, and that allowed Terrell Baker to dice his way up the inside. He cut all the way down about 1.5 lanes onto the apron and sent it into the corner, but it did allow him to get the spot. Now Austin Moore backing out on Christian Peterson as Peterson advances his position up 1 as well. Hey, who says you can't pass at Darlington? There is action all over the racetrack, including for the race lead. Here comes Hunter Madalinas on Ashton Lawson, about the 70th time we've seen these two racing each other on track.
Yeah, no love lost at times between these two. They definitely race hard. Both are very aggressive, and it's also very common to see them battling for first and second. So it's been great to see. I think Madalinas has just been, wide open every lap. It doesn't seem like he's been too worried about saving tires, but some of these drivers are good enough where they can keep pace but also not burn up their stuff, and that's something that is a very unique skill. But now Madalina's kind of just following in the tire tracks of Lawson, maybe just kind of waiting for that opportunity. Gonna try to roll the outside here.
It's very hard to do that at Darlington. To your point, at a track that wears tires a little bit less, your Texases, your the Chicagolands, maybe Las Vegas, it's easy enough to maintain speed by going fast at the same time and keep that for the long run. But at a track like Darlington, I mean, it wears out tires so quickly, you almost have to make a choice. To a point, you can carry speed and save tires, but to a further point, you need to know when to back off. Matthew Weeks isn't backing off. He's got a run on Will Barbagelata, and he plans to use it through 3 and 4. Matthew Weeks is up another spot into P4. So it's really crunch time for Weeks. He came into this race just barely inside the playoffs, and he seems to know it. He is running solidly inside the top 5.
And you
Duda and Durr going at it as well. Contact! Jared Duda sideways in the middle of the corner. Duda saves it. He's got Zach Henry to contend with now. They're going to be side by side coming out of turn number 2. More contact. Henry got shuffled over to the inside. We got one spinning to the inside wall. A switch just flipped at Darlington Raceway. Everyone's lost their minds. Jared Duda still fighting to hang on to the outside of Zach Henry. That move for Duda went all wrong. He tried to go up the inside of Matt Durr. They made contact, and it sent Duda backwards. That's probably not good for his tires either.
Yeah, we've had some crazy moments here. Henry going to try to look back to the inside. It feels like a lot of times at this track, you're kind of all calm, kind of just riding, and then one person makes a mistake around a bunch of others, and it's like blood in the water. Everybody's like, oh, there's my opportunity. I'm going to get this person. It can be tough to pass. So when somebody is you know, at their weakness by either hitting the wall or maybe entering the corner bad or something, that's when your chance to jump. And it sometimes gets to be where people get a little aggressive and cross the line trying to do it. Henry got the wall a little bit in the middle of the corner there.
Henry got the wall, and Shane Neiswanger took advantage. He's looking to the inside. We got more contact with the outside wall out of turn number 2. Peterson and Kepf slow on the high line. Austin Moore takes that opportunity to take a sniff at the bottom. Peterson running the outside line is going to have the run off the corner. But to your point, Ross, it is so difficult to pass here. It's so narrow that you really got to force the issue the soonest chance you get. We might see an example of this as Robin Durr caught the wall, and that'll let Brett Kingcott send it down the inside to turn number 1. But to your point, it's so difficult to pass that any attempt at a pass can just go wrong so quickly. You know, there's no clean pass you can make at Darlington. There's just varying degrees of bullying you can do to get people out of your way.
Yeah, and I think there's not a ton of. I mean, there is the ability to run multiple lines, especially down in 3 and 4. But in 1 and 2, there's kind of a preferred line, and when you enter the corner differently than every other lap when you've been by yourself and you have to use the apron, as we see Heller kind of going by a truck there, that's something that it just throws you off because you're used to hitting the same kind of line every single corner. Now you have to enter way lower and slide up even faster, and you can kind of misjudge it really easily. So that's there's a little bit of an art to this. It's an amazing track, and it's super fun to watch these guys try to muscle their way around these corners.
Yeah, I mean, passing in turn 1 is one of the most technical passes, I think, in all of racing. I'm not just talking about ovals. For one, you got to decide, do you want to look to the outside, do you want to look to the inside? Then you got to decide if you want to cut the apron. I mean, there's only one line around the track, but when 2 people are going side by side, neither of you can take it. So it comes down to how do you want to position yourself? Do you want to be caught between your car or between your opponent's car and the outside wall? Do you want to have the inside line even though you get less momentum? Do you want to go for a slide job? There's a lot of different ways to approach it, and it can work. We've seen it happen several times tonight, but you got to be really careful and really precise on your execution. Speaking of passing, here comes Jackson Sims. He's got to run on Will Barbagelata and into turn number 3. They're going to go side by side. That white, red, and blue machine working the inside of Barbagelata as they work their way through 3 and 4. Barb's going to have the run off the high side, and they're side by side behind as well. Matt Durr caught the wall, and Shane Neiswanger is up into 11th. Durr's falling backwards. He's got Peterson on his inside as well. Matt Durr, who restarted up inside the top 5, is moving backwards in a hurry.
Yeah, down 10 spots since the start of this race too. Just a great qualifying effort, but just not able to kind of keep it up there. Entering the corner really high. It's definitely dangerous. It's really easy to get in the wall here. Of course, that's what Darlington's known for. Austin Moore's gonna get around him on the inside.
Yeah, that line doesn't really work on this game, unfortunately, or simulator, sorry. It doesn't really work on this platform, I should say, as well as it does in real life. We see drivers like Reddick, Larson really working that high line from entry to exit, but here on iRacing, it doesn't work quite as well. I doubt it'll work with the track cold as well. So, valid effort by Matt Durr. Definitely looked cool. He didn't hit the boards at all, but doesn't seem to be working out for his paces. He's got Eric Kepf on his inside as well.
Eric Kepton, another throwback paint scheme, usually with the pink tint on his truck, black and blue tonight. That's I guess that's perfect colors for Darlington.
Yeah, these cars are definitely going to get a little bit bruised up. It's easy to hit the wall. It's really easy. It'll come at you way faster than you'd expect. Honestly, though, for a track this narrow, I'm surprised by some of the battling we're seeing. You see this 4-car pack here exiting turn number 4. Fitzgerald, Senzi, Kepf, and Matt Durr all in it. Now Kepf, the one falling backward, as Gavin Fitzgerald leaps around the outside and swings up a spot, so that'll move him up into 16th. Gavin Fitzgerald, really all season, it's been the tale of 2 races every race pretty much. He'll start out with a pretty good run, and then something always seems to go wrong for that 14 truck. Tonight, he is running up inside the 16th spot. We'll see if he can keep it going.
Yeah, rubbing the wall a little bit there. Just sometimes that'll actually even turn your truck if you can just touch it just enough, but not something you want to do all the time. It's really cool to see some of these drivers even using the apron. That's something that's great about Darlington with this narrow racetrack. Sometimes you're forced to do that, but it works really well sometimes where you can kind of get yourself turned. We saw Kep and Senzi both trying that. Didn't really work out as the 14 of Fitzgerald was able to get around him. Here comes Woodall in the 13 and he's just powering by these guys. Might have a little fresher tires, it looks like. Yeah, you just pitted looks like about 10 laps ago compared to most of these drivers on 20 lap old tires.
Yeah, Woodall is laps down and on fresh tires. Gavin Fitzgerald now on Matt Durr. He'll move his way up into the top 15. The apron is something we haven't really talked about a lot tonight. I feel like most of the uses we've seen have been turn 1. People will kind of cut the apron and try and slide up in front of the driver they're trying to pass. Haven't seen it a lot in 3 and 4, but I think that... Oh, Gavin Fitzgerald, hard in the wall. Middle of 3 and 4, but I think we could see the apron come into play in 3 and 4 either as the track really gets hot on the racing surface itself, or as maybe late in the race, if we got some restarts, it could be a good opportunity to try and make a 3-wide pass. We saw Chase Briscoe do that in the Cup race. We could see a couple of drivers try it tonight. Not a bad move, in my opinion.
And we're closing in. We're probably another 10 to 15 laps away from pit stops. So some of these drivers, you know, we talk about these guys that were having to dig out of the hole, like Duda, Peterson, some of these guys, Austin Moore, that have started towards the back, trying to work their way up towards the top 10. Maybe you can do some strategy by coming in early and try to gain some time on tires. I think most of the time you want to run as far as you can here, especially because that pit window we just hit on that caution on lap 19, that was right on the edge of the pit window. So if you shorten this one up, you could potentially run into an issue later as far as trying to make sure you can make it to the end on fuel and tires. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see when these drivers pit. With everybody pitting at the same time, that last caution makes it kind of feel like a lot of them are going to pit at the same time here under green if we get to that point.
Yeah, Darlington is really interesting because there's so much tire wear that it makes the undercut more effective than a lot of other tracks, but at the same time, there's so much tire wear that the overcut is also a lot more effective. I'd say the effects are probably about the same in proportion to each other, but in terms of how much they are immediately, they become a lot more dramatic, if that makes sense. Everything's kind of the same, but it's amplified a lot. Whereas at another track, you might gain a second or two from an undercut. At Darlington, that could be 3 or 4. Austin Moore has worked his way back around Christian Peterson for 13th. Those two have been going at it pretty much this entire run as Gavin Fitzgerald closes up on the both of them. Fitzgerald was maybe lacking on the short run, but he is starting to come to life here as Christian Peterson actually going to move over for the number 14. So Gavin Fitzgerald up another spot, up into 14th. That giant Tiger branded Throwback looking good tonight as we work lap 55 of 160.
And just jumped on the radio and said thanks for letting them go by. That's a truck that's, we've seen him hit the wall a couple times, but also still moving forward. So yeah, great looking 14 truck.
You can get away with a good amount of wall banging here at Darlington. I want to turn our attention back to our race leaders real quick. The gap has tightened up between the two. It's about 0.4 of a second, but what I saw in 3 and 4 last time was some lane changing going on. Ashton Lawson appeared to be opting for the high line, while Hunter Madalinas was sticking it on the low line, riding that bottom seam. I feel like every time we talk to Madalinas after a win, he always talks about the importance of staying consistent and just running the same line throughout an entire race. Lawson is unfortunately not using the high line this time, so not really giving me much to talk about, but Madalinas is a very disciplined driver. He always talks about running the same line over and over again, kind of consistently, as we are actually seeing our first pit stops. Whoa! Jackson Sims slides it into pit road. He stays off the barrels, but that is going to kick off our round of green flag pit stops. Sims, I think he's about 8 laps early, but maybe going for an alternate strategy here.
Yeah, definitely slid that thing into the pit stop. It's really close to making sure he got to pit road speed. We'll make sure that he doesn't have a penalty here. But yeah, that if there's no penalty, I guess that would be very efficient.
Kept on Christian Peterson. That battle is for 14th. Peterson has started to move backwards in these last couple of laps. A rare sign of weakness for the 3-time winner this season. Peterson is pretty much strong every track we go to, but tonight he looks to be a little bit off the pace. Maybe started on the wrong side of the bed. Hard to be sure, but he is right now down the 15th position.
Yeah, I think just a qualifying run that maybe didn't work, or I don't know. Maybe we finally found Christian Peterson's weakness, and it's Darlington. I don't know. Still marching forward, which is great. But yeah, definitely had to start in the back, and it's so hard here you almost immediately got to start thinking of off strategy when it gets to this point, because it's so hard to pass and get up through the field.
Yeah, well, Darlington is a really unique racetrack. It's similar to Dover in the sense that at a lot of tracks we go to, you see the same drivers be good kind of over and over again. Again, you think of your cookie cutter intermediates, you think of your basic short tracks, Richmond, Texas, Charlotte. You don't really see a lot of surprise drivers running up to the front, but then you go to a track that's a little different like Darlington. Suddenly it's low grip. Suddenly everything's shaped a little bit differently. There's apron lines you can use. There's more creativity in what you can do, and it kind of shakes up the running order. I mean, we're seeing tonight Ashton Lawson having, I don't want to say uncharacteristically dominant, but we haven't really seen him run away with any races yet this season. Well, tonight, he has been leading ever since the drop of the green flag as Peterson lose again off turn number 2. I think those rear tires are starting to go, Ross.
Yeah, definitely. We saw him kind of take off the first run before the caution. That was about 19 laps. Well, this run, he kind of did the same thing, but now, yeah, maybe learned that he used up his stuff, because that's a lot of these trucks that have been behind him are taking advantage of it and getting around him as Dirge, the next one there, getting by him. DuPont will be next if he can get him before this pit stop coming up.
Oh, Peterson loose again out of turn number 2.
Wow. All over the place.
Yeah, he is struggling. I think those rear tires have switched off. One of the things about Darlington, like I was alluding to in the pre-race, is if your rear tires start to go, it is so much worse than your front tires. And watch out! Jackson Sims was looking at 3 wide, but he backs out. He is laps down and on new tires, so we should drive around these two guys pretty easily here in 1 and 2. But Sims thought about a 3 wide move there for just a second, ended up thinking better of it. But like I was saying, having your rear tires go off here at Darlington, it's not just uncomfortable and slow, it's dangerous. I mean, we saw Peterson was barely hanging on out of number 2.
Yeah, it's amazing then when you see a guy like Sims go by on those fresh tires, the difference. It's truly remarkable. We see a lot of these trucks sliding off the corner. I think a lot of these guys, Caressel there, looks like yeah, these guys are all over the place, and it gets to the point here that we're right on that fuel window. So I think a lot of these guys are going as far as they can, probably farther than they ever wanted to on these tires, because we were right on that edge of that fuel window for that first caution.
Yeah, and I think now it's time to start thinking if you want to undercut or if you want to overcut. You know me, I'm always a fan of the overcut. I think it's better to have that advantage on the back half of the run. But, I mean, now's the time. If you want to come in early and try to get a jump on your opponent, come in now. Put a couple seconds on him and try and hang on for the rest of the run. And just as I say that, Hunter Madalinas in 3 and 4 is diving onto pit road. Believe he made it down to pit road speed safely. So, Ross, we got our first pit stop out of the top 5, and it's Madalinas going off strategy, trying to make something happen.
I'll be excited to see where Sims comes out in this, because I think that he's definitely going to be down a pit stop. He'll have to make an extra pit stop if we're able to, miraculously go all the way green here. But this is right on that edge of the fuel window. I think I would have wanted to get to lap 65. I guess 64, 1 short ain't too bad. But this is I think you're going to see a lot of others jump in. Lawson's still on the track. Some of these leaders going to make sure maybe to get to that 65, 66 window. I think that would be maybe a little bit more comfort, especially for some of these guys that are maybe, Madalinas, he's obviously here just for the win. These top 3 here are all here for points that are currently out here with Lawson, Henderson, and Weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to wonder if maybe Madalinas pulled the trigger a little bit too early. The undercut now is about 3 laps over Ashton Lawson, and that's going to give him a big advantage early on. But on the back half of the run, I mean, that is just going to destroy his tires. So we'll see how it all works out. But at a track like Darlington, I mean, so much tire wear, I would take the tires over track position, honestly. But we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, we can't tell the future. Down the back straightaway goes Ashton Lawson. We'll see if he comes in this time. Looks like most of the field is now single file as we wait for these pit stops to cycle out.
Yeah, and I wonder
Lawson stays out again.
I was going to say, I wonder if Madalinas was thinking there's a little bit of lap traffic, not just trucks that Lawson was potentially catching. Right now, Lawson is dealing with Woodall to his inside on fresh tires. We talk about just running this track. You know, you race the track. Here come the 49 and the 8 are both coming down. I think that you sometimes need to kind of focus on the track, and when you have these lappers, it slows you down. So maybe that was Madalinas just trying to get away from those lappers. It sounds like maybe we're going to see Lawson pitting this time. He is coming down right here.
Coming in hot. We'll see if he can make it down to pit road speed. No lockup out of the 26, so he is all good. Ashton Lawson from the lead comes in. So does Elliott Henderson. That'll hand the race lead over to Matthew Weeks with Jared Duda in tow. So we'll see where everybody comes out. I imagine that Madalinas is going to have about a 4 or 5 second lead, but it'll start going down pretty quickly, just with how much tire wear is on the track. But now we're starting to get a sense of who wants to go long and who wants to cut short. Matthew Weeks is on track at the moment, but I believe he is headed for pit road this time by. Jared Duda is looking to come in, but he might be a little bit wide. He's wide. Can he make it down? Duda can, but I don't know if that's going to be a penalty. He was to the right of the cone coming in. We'll see what the call is, if he has to hold in his box or not. I'm trying to check for you all right now. Jared Duda is clean, so no penalty for the 53. That pit entry is good, and Gavin Fitzgerald has inherited the race lead.
Yeah, and a little side note there, with Matthew Weeks able to stay out a little bit longer than Henderson and Lawson. He was able to lead a lap, which is an extra point for a guy that's just a couple points up on the cut line entering this race. That's huge.
Yeah, every point matters. Every point is going to matter, and you imagine that that's going to be going through these drivers' heads as they figure out if they want to overcut or undercut. Lap 70 underway now. We are officially halfway done with this race. Michael Senzi, nope, we are 10 laps away from halfway. Sorry, I thought it was 140 for a second. We are 10 laps away from halfway, and Michael Senzi is your race leader. Your leader on track is going to be Hunter Madalinas, with Ashton Lawson a good ways behind on fresher tires. So now we're going to see that dichotomy between the overcut and the undercut. Actually, it's Jackson Sims who's going to cycle out to be your race leader, but he has the oldest tires of anybody inside the top 5.
Yeah, these super undercut for the 6 of Sims. Madalinas just a little bit fresher tires here. Going to get around him. I think Sims, you're hoping that maybe you'd get a quick caution right here after all these drivers have made pit stops, then force them into a decision whether they'd pit or potentially use a set and you can gain some track position. I think that's going to be his goal here.
Well, I think you got to think about it in terms of net loss or net gain. Jackson Sims, I mean, I truth be told, don't remember his position before green flag pit stops, but I imagine he's got that sort of in his head, and he's trying to figure out if he can overall gain or lose positions. The advantage that you get, of course, by pitting early is that you don't have to work your way through traffic. Now, if you're Ashton Lawson, you're going to have to pass 2 trucks. I mean, that's not really that big of a deal. But for a guy like Jackson Sims, who was trapped in the mid-pack, if he were to pit late, he would have to pass all those trucks on the back half of the run. Now, he's clear of that traffic and can put himself in a defensive position. So it depends. Do you want to be on offense like Ashton Lawson, or do you want to be on defense like Jackson Sims?
Yeah, and a huge gap between Sims to Lawson, about 5 seconds there, as Sims is losing touch with Madalinas, of course, on a little bit older tires than him. But this also shows where these drivers are coming out within a bunch of traffic. We talked about Madalinas maybe pitting a little early to avoid the traffic, but you're gonna have to pay for that at some point. And now he's back out there, at least with the fresher tires, able to work some of this lap traffic now.
Yeah, so already we're seeing the lap time difference. Last time by, Hunter Madalinas ran 30 seconds and 1/10 of a second. Jackson Sims, 30 seconds, 8/10 of a second. Ashton Lawson, 29 seconds and 7/10. So that gap to the leader is going to be coming down at around half a second per lap, and the gap to Sims is coming down at around a second per lap. And that's the kind of thing that you got to keep track of as you work to run down the leader. Last time by, the gap was 6.1 seconds. Lawson has it down to 5.6.
Yeah, and the one thing that you know, there is tire limit sets in this race, so a lot of these drivers are all utilizing the tires at the same rate right now. I guess some of them, of course, gotten them earlier than others, but right now there's not a lot of drivers that have an extra set. No one has an extra set or anything like that, so everybody's still with about 3 sets remaining here. If it stays green, of course, you're probably not going to use all 3 sets, but if we get some late cautions, that will maybe put in some interesting part of the strategy here with a track that, of course, heats up those tires.
Yeah, we'll keep track of tire sets if it comes down to it later in the race. While we were talking about strategy, Matthew Weeks was able to get around Austin Moore to move himself back up into the top 5. He went to the bottom in 3 and 4 and just used his fresher tires to wrap the bottom and make a clean cut on the 91 of Moore. So move Matthew Weeks up a spot as he continues to fight for a chance in the Great Lakes Truck Series playoffs. While we got a little bit of downtime right now, why don't we go ahead and get a points update as we near halfway. It is Hunter Madalinas leading. We know that he is locked in, and we know Jackson Sims, I believe, is locked in as well. But looking near the bubble, Matthew Weeks continues to make inroads on that playoff cut line. He came in +4, and he's looking even better now. Spencer Owens is currently your last driver in, and Ashton Lawson is currently your first driver out. Lawson, again, not in a very favorable position because he's looks like about 13 points out, but he definitely doesn't have that many points to gain. Jared Duda might be in a better spot. Right now he is running, let's see, where is Duda?
I just checked in on Duda, and he's actually back in 24th. We talked about that pit stop. I think we were wondering if there was going to be a penalty. It looks like maybe there was something at least, or damage or something, because he spent about
there was a penalty.
About 40 seconds longer than anyone else on pit road. So must have been paying off that penalty. That's a huge implications for this as far as him trying to get back in this and try to crack that top 10 in points.
Yeah, I checked the entries list to see if he had a black flag by his name, and he didn't. But I think that it maybe just wasn't showing up because Jared Duda spent 54 seconds in his pit box. You're right, Ross. That was a penalty to the 53 truck, and I think that just killed his playoff chances.
Yeah, it definitely.
So a mistake. Yeah.
At least a yellow to get back in this, maybe multiple, because he's not even in the free pass spot right now. He's got multiple drivers ahead of him. So. Yeah, tough break. It's a tough pit road to get down to. We saw so many of these drivers sliding and trying to get down to that cone or even get close to the wall. It's a tough place to not just on the track, but leaving the track too.
Yeah, I mean, every single part. Whoa, Christian Peterson! He got very loose coming out of turn number 2. He's still struggling with the rear tires of that blue and orange 71 truck. He tried to get the power down, trying to run down Matt Durr. He just could not do it. He is continuing to get all sorts of loose. But, yeah, I mean, really, it's just not a good night for Manji Motorsports in general. Christian Peterson has been struggling with the rear end all night. He's down in 17th, and Jared Duda, who is putting together a clutch time performance, right now he's down in 24th with really no path out of it. Christian Peterson hanging it all out of turn number 2, but he's gaining on Matt Durr down to the inside going into turn number 3. Peterson fighting for his life as he tries to work around Durr. Durr gets into the wall, and Christian Peterson scraps his way up into 16th.
And these two pitted on the same lap, so definitely similar tires compared to a lot of the other drivers around racing each other have different tire life based on when they pitted. So straight on by, still sliding around. I think he's probably having fun, but I just don't know if it's fast.
We got a battle for 13th as well. Gavin Fitzgerald, who went long on that last run, has worked his way up to the rear bumper of Eric Kepf. His tires are about 1 lap fresher than Kepf, but he's got a group in front of Henry up in 10th that are on about 3 lap older tires. So we'll see how Fitzgerald is able to make inroads as this run progresses. You'll see he gets a nice run there out of turn number 2. And hey, you got to hand it to Gavin Fitzgerald. He seems to shine when the tracks are the toughest. We saw him put together a really good run earlier this season at Watkins Glen. He's doing it again tonight at Darlington, 2 of the toughest tracks to drive on the schedule, and Gavin Fitzgerald is shining. Kep moves over to the inside. That might be a defensive liner. He might be letting the 14 go. Looks like it was the latter. Eric Kep is up, Gavin Fitzgerald is up into 13th.
Yeah, it looks like Henry here to the outside of Shane Neiswanger.
This battle is for the last spot in the top 10. Zach Henry, one of the drivers who was sort of on the playoff cut line. He needs a finish of 19th or better to secure a spot in the playoffs, and right now he is doing more than enough, running to inside the top 10. So I imagine that Zach Henry is feeling a little bit more comfortable as this race goes on. A little bit of a wiggle there by Shane Neiswanger out of the corner, and Tony Manji is going to take that opportunity to slide down the inside.
Yeah,
Manji on Neiswanger. Neiswanger gets the wall, and I think Manji is going to have the advantage as they go into turn number 1. Watch for the 24 to cut in front of the 49. There it is. Tony Manji up into 11th.
It's 2 lap fresher tires on than the 49 of Neiswanger, so it shows you there even just a couple laps can be a difference. But that's huge because you get those tires, you're able to make those passes a lot easier than when everyone was on the same tires on that last run.
Meanwhile, Terrell Baker and Austin Moore are going at it for 8th. Austin Moore, another driver that has had a pretty disappointing season so far, but right now he is running up inside the top 10, trucking the wall. Spencer Owens caught the outside wall hard in turn number 1. Owens is having an absolutely disastrous night. He's running down to the 23rd position, but luckily, well, he's on the bottom end of that playoff cut line. He is on the bubble, but he doesn't have that many more points left to lose.
Yeah, definitely scary. Going to be some scary mathematicians going for him as far as trying to figure out if he's in or not. Yeah, you talked about Austin Moore up here as he's getting passed by the 8 of Baker. A great run by Austin, just as far as starting in the back and marching to the front. Picked up like 15 positions since the start of this race, so definitely a great job by moving up through the field, something that a lot of these other drivers are struggling to do. He's been able to gain a lot of track position. I know he's got a little bit of older tires than the guys around him right now, but great run.
Yeah, Zach Henry, another driver, putting together a great run tonight. He right now is up in the 9th position. Right now we're watching Matthew Weeks, though, as he holds on to that 4th spot over Jackson Sims. Weeks has been on these tires for 19 laps. He's actually on the freshest tires out of the top 5. Jackson Sims, of course, who went for that mega undercut, has about 13 lap older tires than Weeks, and he's hanging on decently so far. Still inside the top 5 as we work lap 89. Behind them, the 11 of Chris Heller is who we're watching right now battle the 27 of actually, Heller's a lap down, so we're really just watching Barbagelata try and get the run here on Sims.
Yeah, and Sims, you know, the really early pit stop, he started in 10th tonight, so
watch out, 3 wide.
Easy, guys. Yeah, that 6 truck that's a you know, just trying to still get to back where he was probably right around in the top 10. So far he's sitting in a spot where it's maybe wasn't a huge gamble. I think he's still gonna have to get a caution to at least make this work. Looks like maybe he's gonna pit here too. Just heard him over the radio. It looks like 6 is going to pit. But yeah, these drivers working around. It's one of the rare tracks where lap traffic could also be passing you rather than you passing them as the 11 goes by the...
Whoa, Sims, sideways. He got sideways trying to get down to pit road, and he did make it, but he might be hit with the same penalty that Jared Duda got. We'll see if he... yeah, he was to the right of that cone coming in, so I think Jackson Sims is going to have a penalty for him as he comes down pit road. That's not good because Sims is in a position where I think he was trying to go for an extra pit stop to try and use the tire advantage to make up some spots, but I don't think that he made it down to the commitment cone. Oh, and he missed his pit box, so it's all going wrong for Jackson Sims.
That's what we call a snowball moment where it just continues to get bigger as it rolls down the hill, right? So, yeah, unfortunately, kind of, you know, a very tough strategy to begin with, and also sliding into pit road to get the black flag, and then also sliding through your pit box. So yeah, tough way to kind of end his night. At least going to need multiple cautions if he has any chance to get back in this. As Darling's going to move up to 5th around Barbagelata.
Yeah, Darling caught the wall there through 3 and 4 a little bit, but it didn't seem to hurt him too much. So Jared Darling has moved himself up into the 5th position. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, Ashton Lawson has cut that lead down to 2.2 seconds. That tire advantage is to the tune of about 4 laps, but I've noticed that his advantage has kind of leveled out over the last couple of runs, and this is coming at a time when Hunter Madalinas has a 2.1 second advantage. So you got to wonder if maybe that overcut strategy actually isn't really working out for Lawson, which would surprise me, but maybe Lawson just ran harder on his tires trying to run down Madalinas.
Yeah, and you're going to want to see here as you look ahead, you see Peterson still sliding through the corners here. Yeah, it's with Lawson, you're going to want to catch him before the end of this run, because that proves your strategy is the better one. If not, then that's going to be tough to get back to Madalinas in that second run if you're already behind him at the end of this run. So he still got another 10-15 laps in this run at least, so we'll see if he can get to him, and it's going to be one thing to get to him, but then also pass him.
Yeah, I mean, I really figured the tire advantage was still going to be there at this point in the run, but it seems like Lawson might have just overdriven his tires a little bit. Meanwhile, Matthew Weeks is also using his tire advantage, which is about 1 lap over Elliott Henderson, to run him down. Last time by, Weeks was about a half a tenth faster than that 37 truck.
And Weeks and Henderson, really both drivers on that cut line are right at it. Both of them are doing exactly what they needed to tonight, and that's especially when you've seen Lawson up there leading this race, a guy that's outside of the playoffs, that if he wins and you have trouble, he's going to jump you. To just basically be a couple seconds off of that top 2, it's exactly what they needed so far tonight. Going to have to finish off this last 65 laps to make sure they can lock themselves in.
And speaking of Ashton Lawson, Hunter Madalinas just lost 0.4 of a second that last time by. He was battling with the 98 of Robin Durr, who's a lap truck, and Madalinas, he just got tight in 3 and 4, so he just lost about a half second to Ashton Lawson, and that gap is continuing to come down.
And he's going to have Sims here on the fresh tires trying to get around him. Pretty easy move around the inside of him. Isn't going to slow down Madalinas at all. But yeah, it's all about timing when you get to these lap trucks. When you whether you're passing them or they're passing you, you want to make sure you do it, either late in the corner, middle of the corner, or on the straightaway. But entering the corner is when that can kind of hurt you.
And even if that doesn't bring Lawson truly into the fight for the race lead again, and at the very least cut down about 0.5 of a second. So that could prove crucial later on in the race if Lawson tries to go for another undercut here to try and get back around Madalinas, or if maybe he'll try the overcut again. I mean, we'll have to see when pit stops start up next time around, which should be soon, maybe? I'm not really sure. Give it maybe 20 more laps, but we should see one more pit stop before this race is over.
Based on that last green flag run, I think the farthest you're going to be able to go, without really stretching it, is 50 laps. So I think if you look at lap 110 as our magic number, I think at that moment you could pit and be able to just not have to worry about, doing any crazy fuel saving to make it the distance. So I think that's the question here. Is Lawson able to get to Madalinas in the next 8, 9, 10 laps? That'll be the key here.
We got 2 battles on track brewing. Elliott Henderson has fallen back towards the 56 of Matthew Weeks, whom we are on board with now. But Zach Henry is also on the bumper of Will Barbagelata for 6th. So 2 battles going on. Henry, he does have the fresher tires than Barbagelata by 1 lap, and that could make a difference in a battle as close as they are. Both those guys are separated by about 0.2 of a second each.
Yeah, it's one of those things that even when the driver has a lap fresher tires, if you got to still wait for that moment when that driver ahead of you either enters a little differently or makes a mistake to be able to pounce on him, because especially later in the run, 1 lap tires make a difference, but later in the run it starts to even out. We're seeing a little bit of that with our our front two.
And here comes Weeks. Here comes Weeks. He's on the inside of Elliott Henderson. Down into turn number 3. He was on the apron just a little bit. He'll use it again on exit. And Matthew Weeks on the inside. Going to take another spot. He is up into 3rd. The pressure was really on for Matthew Weeks. He came into this race only 4 points above the cut line. But when the pressure came on, he shined brighter. He is up into 3rd and driving away from that 37 truck, putting more and more points on the cut line with every lap he turns.
Yeah, it was. We were waiting for that moment. He took his time to make sure that he could get around Henderson and not lose any time. That was a nice pass there as Henry's back to the back bumper of Barber Gelada here. Barber Gelada bouncing it off the wall.
Barb's caught the wall, and that allowed Zach Henry to get a great run out of turn number 4. He'll be all over the 27 truck going down into turn 1. Our producer, Jeff Johnson, just pointed out that if these guys can make it to around lap 110, we might be looking at a fuel race to the end of the race. And the reason that I point that out is that Hunter Madalinas can theoretically only go about 4 laps as far, or sorry, 4 laps shorter than Ashton Lawson can because he pitted earlier. So that undercut might have worked out in terms of tires, but what about in terms of fuel as we get down towards the end of this race?
Yeah, I think he's, you know, when you pit 4 laps before everybody else, you're still going to have to make that extra 4 laps at some point. Even if it's at this point here in this run, you know, you're gonna have to do the same as far as staying on old tires for a long part of the run.
Here comes Henry.
And yeah, he's definitely going to have to do it at some point.
Zach Henry on the inside of Barber Gelada. He's going to move up into P6 as Barber Gelada backs out going into turn number 3. Barb's caught the apron just a little bit coming out of 2, and that's what let Henry get a mega run down the back straightaway.
Yeah, that's setting up for Manji in the 24 to catch both of these trucks too. Sneaking back up there with about the same tire strategy as these guys. All of them are within a lap of each other as far as when they pitted.
Yeah, you'd think at this point a 1 or 2 lap tire difference wouldn't make too much of a swing one way or the other. Now, I would think that 4 laps would make a difference in the case of Lawson and Madalinas, but Madalinas has done a really good job managing his tires thus far. Another change for position on track. Brett Kingcutt has fallen backwards as Aiden DuPont in that 00 Chevy Silverado has moved up yet another spot. So DuPont, having a great run tonight, is up into 15th.
Yeah, I know Aiden's had multiple races where he's either gotten caught up in other people's issues or had moments where he's just struggled to get a good finish, and it's great to see a clean race so far, battling with that 5 truck.
Kingcutt looking back to the inside, and then I want to say that's a Casey Kane throwback. Kingcutt looking down the inside, but I think DuPont's going to have the run off the corner. Kingcutt got a little bit tight. That'll let the lap truck of Spencer Owens look low on him as well. In front of them, Duda and Woodall are side by side into turn 1. Woodall going to get that spot. Actually, was that for position? Nah, it wasn't for position.
Manji got around Barber Gelada here. We were looking at him closing up on this battle between Henry and Barber Gelada. Now we got Senzi here running 13th, trying to maybe get to 12th around Eric Kept in front of him here.
He's got the 10 of Hunter Brittle behind him, but Brittle is a lap truck. I think the role that lap trucks are playing in this race has been kind of interesting so far. I mean, definitely when we get to pit stops as well, the lap trucks that get tires first kind of have to work their way through these lead lap trucks and kind of make a difference in some of these battles. Austin Moore's on pit road. He's going to kick off what should be the final round of green flag pit stops.
I think that's right on that number too. I think at this point, if you're pitting, you're going to be really close to making it from here. I think we've seen a handful of drivers that were able to get to 50, maybe 51 laps. So this is right at that number. I think they all should be good by pitting from here on out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if some of these drivers now jump to pit road to get those tires right away, or if they try to hold off to keep their tires later. Looks like Madalinas, our leader, is going to come in.
Yeah, Madalinas is in. This time he comes in before Ashton Lawson. You'd think with a 1.2 second or 1.8 second lead that you might actually wait for Lawson to come in first, but no, Madalinas taking the proactive route as he did before, and he's coming in first. So we're seeing kind of a continuation of Hunter Madalinas' aggression. We've seen it all season. I mean, he's not afraid to get up there and make moves, and even strategy-wise, he's not afraid to take risks. I would assume that an undercut really wouldn't work at Darlington, but Madalinas doesn't seem to have an issue with doing it.
Yeah,
Boston
it's just
coming in this time by in response.
Yeah, it's just a matter of these guys are going to basically choose to make this last run be the farthest they've gone all race. So that's the only part to this that I would have liked to see Lawson run a little bit longer. Obviously, that last run he wasn't able to get back to Madalinas. So you know, by following him here, it's one lap fresher tires. I don't think it's going to be enough to make up the gap that he had just a second or two. We'll see if running this last one as long as they can, what will happen. But I think we're going to see a lot of these drivers that are out there right now. Weeks is leading, Henderson in second. Some of these drivers that are just racing for points, I don't think they can afford to pit yet. I think they're going to want to run as far as they can just to make sure that they don't get caught with a caution.
Another thing to consider is that while these top two were fighting to pit first, that sort of opens up the door for Weeks and Henderson. The run that we just had was about 50 laps for Lawson and 46 for Madalinas. That was already pretty long. Well, now they got another 50 to go. And meanwhile, up front, Matthew Weeks, Elliott Henderson, they can kind of cruise for a bit. They can sort of just run long and see if maybe they can overcut and get an advantage on these guys for the end of the race. Ashton Lawson does once again come out behind Hunter Madalinas. Honestly, Lawson was pushing really hard on the in-lap. I thought maybe he might have made up a little bit of ground to Madalinas, but as it turns out, no, he did not. So he comes out about 4.7 seconds back with one lap fresher tires. We'll see if maybe this time he can run down the 7 with anything he learned on that previous run.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing then will be on this last run for Madalinas versus Lawson will be just a matter of who can work the lap traffic and make sure that they can, for Madalinas, ultimately just no mistakes. If he can get through, as Henderson is going to pit here.
Yeah, managing the lap traffic is definitely something that'll be a factor for both Madalinas and Lawson. Madalinas has a big pack of lapped trucks coming up in front of him. And what I really find interesting is that whereas before, the first run of the race, a lot of the sort of mid-pack slower trucks were the ones that bit first. This time around, it was actually Hunter Madalinas who pit second out of the entire pit cycle. And I think what's of note of that is that, I mean, it would be a long shot, but Matthew Weeks is now going to have the freshest tires and have an opportunity to maybe try and run down Madalinas' Lawson as Madalinas gets choked up out of turn number 2 there by the 11 of, oh shoot, what's his name? Oh, Chris Heller. So sorry, Chris. Name just slipped my mind for a second there. I've done a really good job these past couple races of recognizing names and numbers, but we all mess up every once in a while. All right, Zach Henry's coming to pit road as well, and so is Michael Senzi.
Once you get to a point where you got them, then they have the throwback race to really mess with you with these throwback main schemes, of course. So, yeah, I think some of these drivers are going to run as long as possible. We saw Henry. I think Senzi is going to be the one that is going to throw this Hail Mary and run as long as possible. He did that on that last run. He's still out there leading. I think that'll be interesting to see if he can extend this maybe a couple more laps, hope for a caution.
Got a report from Jeff that Madalinas was hard clutching in 3 and 4 in an effort to save fuel. That's, of course, a question. I mean, we don't know why he was clutching, but I would imagine that was to try and save a little bit of fuel. So now you got to wonder, is Madalinas in a position where maybe he's having to save a little bit of fuel to make it to the end of this race? I mean, we're definitely setting up for a really long run here. So I wonder if maybe Madalinas is a little bit short.
Yeah, and you think about, that last run you had that, the calculation I was making is 50 laps, but you got to remember that last run also started at a yellow. So you had that first lap or two at least under caution, where this one, of course, won't be because you leave pit road under green, you're right in the gas right back on the go pedal. So yeah, that it'll be interesting to see if he can make it. Love me some fuel mileage races. A big fan of those previous winner at some fuel mileage races in the series over here, so I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it definitely makes things interesting for us up in the booth. Where we stand right now, effectively second on back, is your running order. Michael Senzi is out on a pit strategy, basically, so he will come in soon. Hunter Madalinas has the oldest tires out of anybody in the top 4. Lawson's are fresher by a lap, Henderson's fresher by about 3 laps, and Weeks's fresher by about 4 to 5 laps. In fact, Weeks is making some good inroads here on Elliott Henderson. That battle is tightening up. It's about a 1/10.5 as they go down the back straightaway. But Weeks is maybe looking to be a surprise contender for this win. Slow truck going to be in the way out of the corner. Spencer Owens stays high, but that choked up the 37 just a little bit on exit. It's going to compromise both of their entries into turn number 1, and I imagine that would give the advantage to Weeks. Let's see what happens here out of turn 2. Weeks backs off just a little bit, then drives it back down to the bottom. What a run by Matthew Weeks. He'll look over to the left-hand side, and he should have that spot going into turn number 3. Henderson backs out. Weeks is up into the podium.
Yeah, that was just textbook. What you got to do to exit turn 2 out of Darlington, out of that top lane, to get a run on the truck in front of you. That was perfect. Then you could just slide in front of them into 3. That was magic for Weeks there. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great drive, especially through turn 2. I wanted to talk a little bit more about turn 2 because, honestly, it's one of the most interesting corners on the racetrack. There's a lot of ways you can set it up, especially in a relatively high-grip car like this truck. One of the things that I've seen done is kind of entering high and then backing out and driving it to the bottom, but what I've seen a couple of drivers experimenting with is not getting up to the wall at all in 1 and 2, kind of staying a lane down and then reducing the amount you got to bring the truck down the track to get to the exit. That's actually a line that I like to run a lot here at Darlington. You're kind of seeing it out of Austin Moore, where he's not really getting up as high as he needs to, and then the distance that he brings it down the track is just so much less. So if you can conserve momentum doing that, it can actually be pretty good for your tires.
And it's one of the most fun too. When you nail it, you know when you do it. So it's always fun to do that. Even when you're by yourself, there's moments where they're like, that was cool. I hit that one perfect.
Big gaggle of trucks going into turn number 1. It starts with Jackson Sims and Jared Darling side by side, and then continues on behind with a good, healthy amount of lap trucks. You see Rod Fasnaugh at the tail end of that, behind Robin Durr. Then Austin Moore getting a run out of the corner on Jackson Sims. Moore looking to put together a top 5 showing here at Darlington. Wouldn't that be something? He's on quite an extreme overcut right now, though. 14 lap old tires to Manji's 8 and Henry's 6.
Yeah, it was one of those drivers that ultimately early in this race was able to just continue to move his way forward, which was really impressive.
Meanwhile, up front, Matthew Weeks is running about 0.7 of a second faster than Lawson and Madalinas. His tire advantage looks to be about, by my count, 5 laps over Lawson, 6 over Madalinas. So that is a pretty healthy advantage with still 35 laps to go.
Yeah, and if we're talking Madalinas and Lawson, pitting a little earlier than the window opening and having to maybe even save some fuel, that if you're Matthew Weeks, you might as well go as hard as you can to make sure that these drivers know that you're there if they do run out of gas, or at least pressure them into knowing that they have to run out of gas if they continue to try to keep that gap.
And Lawson's not out of this by any means. He ran about 0.2 of a second faster than Hunter Madalinas last time by, and if Madalinas is close on fuel at all, then you gotta imagine Lawson is just that bit better. Side by side into 1, Caressel and Sims. Caressel gonna take that position with Robin Durr trying to follow him in behind. That is all 4 position as Sims catches the wall a little bit, maybe trying to cross over Durr, but that's not gonna work. So move Robin Durr up into 19th.
And Sims was on that alternate strategy and then got the penalty, so a lap down because
Hunter Brittle all out of shape out of turn number 2. 3 wide. Here comes Terrell Baker. Baker on Fitzgerald and Brittle is going to take 2 spots in 1.
And Brittle's basically out there just running laps, multiple laps down, and that was just bad timing for the 14 as far as getting to him. And Baker's going to try to crack the top 10 here by getting around him, entering 1 and 2.
Yeah, good run for Terrell Baker. He is sort of in playoff contention, but he is a little bit of a long shot. Speaking of your playoff drivers, it is looking like Matthew Weeks and Spencer Owens are going to take those last 2 spots. Ashton Lawson doesn't have enough points to gain, so he is likely out of it. And Jared Duda, while he did have a lot of points to gain, got himself a pit road penalty and is stuck down in 23rd. So it's looking like Lawson and... Lawson's out of it, and it's looking like Weeks and Owens are going to be your last 2 spots.
Yeah, but don't put the names on that playoff grid just yet, because with still 30 laps to go, anything can happen. You get a yellow. We have a lot of these lead trucks that are fast catching up to trucks that are damaged or even off the pace on different strategies. So miscalculation in any of these corners, we could have an incident that would really mix this race up again.
And don't count out anything for the race win either. Ashton Lawson ran about 0.3 of a second faster than Madalena's last time by and has the gap down to 2.9 seconds. It's back up to 3 now, but Lawson is very slowly making inroads, and he was the driver that dominated earlier this race. So he definitely knows how to get it done here at Darlington. Now he's just got to execute for 30 laps, and he might have another shot at it.
Yeah, definitely needs to, if he wants to not just win this race, but make the playoffs, you're definitely going to have to catch Madalenas to do it, at least to have a chance at the playoff thing, but to win this race for sure. Yeah, I think it's interesting to see this basically Madalenas pitting, and if that was outside the window, for Lawson to just follow him a lap later, I don't know if that he kind of tricked Lawson into maybe putting him in the same situation of having to save some fuel, but that's why I kind of wish Lawson would have ran a little bit longer just to not have to worry about that. Hopefully he's not saving fuel as much as Madalenas, but being only 1 lap different, if we're thinking Madalenas is saving, then almost Lawson's going to have to at least think about it.
Closest battle on track right now is heating up for 15th as Aiden DuPont looks to run down Brent Kincott in that number 5 truck. It's been a pretty decent night, actually, for Brent Kincott. He's not had the best season so far, and of course had a couple of nightmare races like back at Pocono, but right now he's running up inside the top 15 and has put together a solid showing in that light blue number 5 Silverado. Looking closer to the front of the field, Will Barbagelata just made his way around Austin Moore. Moore starting to fall back on those older tires.
And Barbagelata, the typical Taco Bell scheme, and now running the Throwback Taco Bell logos.
Oh, watch out, they're stacking up out of 2. 3 wide, nearly. Brent Kincott on the inside. DuPont in the middle. That might open up the high line here for this 00 truck. No, Durr cuts it off. But that got a little bit sketchy down the back straightaway with the slow truck of Hunter Brittle.
It's so easy to lose that momentum. Gonna still try to, all of them wanting to get down to the bottom, entering the corner here. Hold on to it, guys.
Yeah, things are getting dicey. We are getting down to crunch time, under 30 laps to go. Update on your race lead. Lawson's charges kind of stalled out. He's at 2 seconds right now. He's gaining slowly, but not significantly. Matthew Weeks was gaining about 0.4 a lap. Right now, at least last time by, only ran about 1/10 faster than both your leaders. We'll see if that improves with a lack of traffic this time by. Yeah, just about 0.2, 0.3 faster, but I imagine Matthew Weeks is starting to look at just holding on to 3rd instead. We are now also looking at this battle for P6 between Tony Manji and Zach Henry. The gap between them is about 1.5 of a second. And Henry, I mean, he definitely knows how to get some passes done here at Darlington. He's looking for another spot here out of turn number 2.
Try to look to the inside, and 3 and 4. It's really tough to get the exit right when you're stuck on that bottom, but if you can get at least a little bit closer, and we saw that with Weeks earlier, made that amazing move. If you're Henry here, you're going to want to try to maybe enter a little later and try to get the run off of turn 2 here, cut it down, try to make a pass.
He's keeping about a left. He's keeping his left headlight just below that quarter panel of the 24 truck, and it's working out for him okay so far. He's definitely keeping Manji honest. So Henry looking again to the bottom. Manji just not really able to get the run off the high side, but it's just enough to keep the 12 truck at bay.
And he got a little bit of a run off of 4 there, but just not enough to even try that move.
Manji's line, it appears to be a little bit squarer. You see in 1 and 2, he kind of gets up to the wall and stays there and kind of brings it off in one sharp motion, whereas Zach Henry kind of eases it in, stays on the bottom, and kind of radiuses the corner, if that's even a word that can be used. He made a little bit of a charge there at Manji in 3 and 4, but still nothing doing. Meanwhile, Ashton Lawson is actually starting to run down your race leader a little bit more as Hunter Madalenas is stuck in lap traffic.
Yeah, and he just got passed by Neiswanger, who's a lap truck with fresher tires. But then Neiswanger got in the wall, and so he kind of had to pull back next to him. So yeah, this is the unique situation where you have lap trucks that have fresher tires than you. Here comes Senzi. He's going to get his lap back running around the outside of Madalinas. It's a little scary to have to look in your mirror to manage lap traffic rather than out your windshield, and that's what Madalinas has to do. Is Lawson's going to try to catch him.
Yeah, Lawson's definitely going to try, but it seems like those tires just aren't there. He lost about 0.2 of a second coming out of turn number 2. Still, though, you got to applaud the effort. But don't look now. Matthew Weeks is still on the charge. He ran about 0.4 of a second faster than Ashton Lawson last time by, so maybe those tires are starting to come back.
Yeah, and this lap's going to be even bigger. I think this is almost a second gain on this last lap because of Madalinas trying to get through that lap traffic. So that's huge. Down to 5 seconds. That's we may have a chance here to see a 3, maybe even 4 with Henderson sneaking into the picture too, trying to battle for this win.
Oh,
here.
whoa, Shane, nice one. That caught the wall in the middle of 3 and 4. That majorly checked up the 7 truck. Madalinas is losing time hand over fist as he negotiates with these lap traffic.
Yeah, it's tough. Now at least in the mirror, he's really hoping Nicewanger just drive away, man. You got the fresher tires. You know, by making the mistakes in front of you, it's just distracting and slowing you down. So yeah, huge opportunity now with no one behind him. It looks like Lawson's going to have to deal with Duda here with a little bit fresher tires, a lap truck.
Yeah, one of the most frustrating things as a driver is when you're lapping trucks and they're faster than you. I mean, it sounds weird, but when they're fast enough to stay in front of you but not fast enough to truly drive away from you, I mean, it is just infuriating. We're seeing it here again with Nicewanger getting loose off the corner, but he has the tires to stay in front of Madalinas. So I think if you're Hunter Madalinas, you're just saying, like, dude, stop messing up so much, because it's hurting his rhythm, it's hurting his momentum. But I mean, hey, what do you want Shane Nicewanger to do? He's just driving the best he can. They're side by side again into turn number 1 in front of your leaders. Eric Kepf has taken that spot away from Gavin Fitzgerald, so Fitzgerald is down to 12th and has an attack coming from Michael Senzi, but Fitzgerald looking to return to sender out of turn number 2. He drove it off the corner and tried to get a run on Kepf. Unfortunately, he tagged the wall. That'll open the door for Michael Senzi, and this 3-truck battle is all happening in front of Madalinas.
Yeah, and you know, Madalinas, obviously, he's you know, one of these front runners. You see these drivers that you're catching at some point when you start getting into lap traffic, even if it's not on strategy. It's because you're a fast driver, and one of the ways that you're a faster driver is on these longer runs. Oh, there's a wreck.
Turn 1! Michael Senzi into the wall! Your leader's in it! Hunter Madalinas into the outside wall, turning the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. Caution is out.
You just talked about it. It's one of those things, a leader, you got lappers in front of you battling for position, and the incident happens and getting caught up in it.
Well, Madalinas looks okay. The front end looks completely undamaged. Of course, that's just superficially. I don't know what's going on under the hood of that 7 truck, but that was either a very close call for Madalinas or the end of his race. Let's go ahead and take a look at a replay and see what happened. So it all started with Michael Senzi. You see him sliding up in front of Fitzgerald, a little bit of netcode, and yeah, I mean, that just got them all into the wall. I'm honestly surprised there isn't more damage on that 7 truck.
Yeah, every once in a while you have those moments on iRacing where you feel like it's going to be a ton more damage than what you expect. So it looks like the truck looks decent. He's going to pit with everybody else here. We'll see if he focuses on any damage or if he's going to try to stay out front. It looks like, yeah, Senzi just trying to use the same spot as the 14. I think that's, you know, we talked about playing chicken. That's definitely a moment of 2 drivers kind of waiting for the other one to maybe give way, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, Hunter Madalinas is remarkably undamaged for a truck that just went underneath Gavin Fitzgerald. That truck might actually be completely okay. So, a lucky break maybe for Hunter, except now he's got to, of course, contend with this restart and try and keep that 7 truck up front. We don't really know how damaged it is. So, race off pit road should go handily to the number 7 truck. That crew did a great job putting fresh tires and fuel in that thing. And yes, Madalinas does, in fact, get out first with Lawson in second. So, we're going to restack him and re-rack him with 10 laps to go, give or take a couple of laps. on this restart. But yeah, really just an unfortunate situation there in front of Madalinas. You saw Senzi just trying to force the 14 up the track a little bit, and he just bit off a little bit more than he could chew. Combine that with a little bit of net code, and that turned into a 3-truck pileup in turn 1. Or turn 2, rather.
Yeah, and if he had any damage, he did not choose to fix it. So yeah, I definitely think he doesn't have any damage. One of those rare instances where you're able to.
Hang on, what's going on with Elliot Henderson? What's going on with Henderson?
Yeah, it looks like Henderson was on pit road a little bit longer than everybody else. Now coming back down. Not sure if there's an issue there.
Henderson got damaged in the crash. We didn't see this at the time, but Michael Senzi. Oh. This could be playoff implications. Elliot Henderson, as he was coming out of turn number 2, he wasn't expecting Michael Senzi stopped in the middle of the track, and he kind of just drove into him. Coming into this race, Henderson needed a 4th spot or better to guarantee a run in the playoffs, and it looked like he had it, but watch this. Coming out of turn 2, yeah, he just drove into the 92 truck.
Yeah, definitely a track blocker when it comes to that narrow exit of turn 2. Sometimes you're stuck in that position, but yeah, that's tough. That's I think he's still alive. I think he's still going to have a chance with so many people a lap down. There's only 12
he's a
drivers.
lap down. He's a lap down and he's still on pit road.
Yeah, still working on damage. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see if he can survive this and still make the playoffs. You have a couple drivers that are outside that have had those troubles with Jared Duda. I think the biggest thing will be whether or not Lawson's able to gain on him to potentially jump him.
This is a huge loss for Elliot Henderson. The question is how much? I mean, I'd love to pull up the points here before we get back going, but this could be big for the playoffs. Henderson's down in 18th.
Yeah, the key
He's
will
still in at the moment.
Yeah, the key will be if he loses any additional positions and if Lawson's able to win this race. If Lawson's able to win, he's gonna get an extra 5 points for the win. So that would close him up to Henderson. So I think if you're Lawson, you got to win this race to have a chance to make the playoffs. And then if you're Henderson, you're gonna need to get out on the track if you can and try to gain as much as you can.
So
right now.
Henderson is up enough to make it, but the question, I think, actually, it doesn't even come down to Lawson. I think Lawson is out of it. I don't think he has enough points to gain, but Jared Duda just got the wave around. I think he's back on the lead lap. So if we get another caution here and Duda is able to make up some spots on the restart, he's got points to gain. All right, pace truck is in. Let's settle this one at Darlington. We're going to have 12 laps to go, and Hunter Madalinas is going to lead us back to green. He got a lucky escape one time. Can he do it again? He'll lead the field off turn 4. It's thinned out quite a bit since the start of this race. Green flag is back out. We're back underway. Big stack up in the back. We got trucks looking all over the place, but Hunter Madalinas gets away well. He'll lead us through 1 and 2.
Yeah, multiple drivers taking the wave around there because of that long run and so many people lap down. So a lot of tire spin back there. Henry is sliding off the quarter back there, stacking them up. Madalinas trying to get away.
Big stack up in the midfield. Will Barbagelata taking advantage. He looks underneath the 12 truck of Zach Henry. Terrell Baker's in the mix as well, and they're all going to congregate up towards the top of the track on exit. Matthew Weeks looking for a little bit more on the inside of Lawson, who had a terrible restart and moved down into 4th.
I think if you're Lawson here, you're definitely disappointed that you weren't able to stay up in that top 2 to have a chance at Madalinas. We'll see what Darling's able to do. We haven't seen him battling up near the lead at all tonight. Here comes Lawson trying to squeeze by Manji.
Whoa, this might be a crash coming out of turn number 4. Manji and Lawson made contact. They were door to door all the way down the front straightaway. They both escaped from it undamaged. Tony Manji muscles his way up into 3rd.
And don't look now, but Jared Darling just hit the fastest lap of the race, and he is at least going to try to scare Madalinas here. Pretty fast truck on the short run.
Definitely not over. Jared Darling's got a shot to take the win he's been looking for all season. He was cheated out of a win at Kansas. He was cheated out of a win at Daytona, and since then, things just haven't been the same for that number 1 team. But tonight, he has put together a great race and is running up in 2nd. Could this be the night for Jared Darling? He's got 8 more laps to run down Hunter Madalinas.
Yeah, that last lap, Madalinas was able to kind of mirror the lap time, maybe a little bit faster than Darling. At least you're making Madalinas work for this right now. That's your key here. I think at some point you know, with just these couple laps, you got to just hope that there's a mistake in there.
Elliot Henderson has fallen to 20th. 2 more points gone for that number 37 truck. Jared Duda's 18th. He would need another caution to start making up points. Jared Darling has a massive run out of turn number 2. He closed up about 1/100th of a second, which in a straightaway, that's a pretty big deal. That battle for third continues on as well as Matthew Weeks tries to get a run on Tony Manji, but he's not able to do so. Now Lawson's got the run off the corner, but everything's going to stay the same with 7 laps to go.
Yeah, it's really going to come down if we stay green, really, if Darling can do anything with Madalinas. As these trucks back here, we have Manji, Weeks, Lawson. They're all trying to, Lawson's going to look to the inside of Weeks, going to rough him up a little bit here, squeeze him up
Big contact on the entry to the corner. Lawson trying to force his way by into 4th. Matthew Weeks fights back on exit. I don't know if Lawson's going to have anything for him down into turn 1. He sends it on the inside. Weeks is clear on the top, and Lawson just lost a lot of momentum. Madalina's slow off too. Madalina's is slow off too. Darling just took a 1/10 and a half out of the race lead.
We saw Henderson, the slow truck. They're going by him right now in 20th. He's going to lose a couple more positions by a few drivers that are 2 laps down here if he continues to backtrack here. I don't know if that was part of the reason why Madalinas was backing up, getting around him. But it looks like he's back rolling here. Darling's still just staying in his tire tracks.
Yeah, Darling, he'll have the draft. He's got a rabbit to follow, but can he run down Madalinas? Can he get to the bumper to make a move? We're going to have 4 laps to go at the line. Madalinas holds steady at the moment. That gap is 0.3 of a second. Barring a caution, he might just start to drive away.
Yeah, it's fun to watch these guys just all out now, you know, so many times saving tire tonight, and here you're just trying to use it up, trying to get to the end, try to get this win.
Henderson's down to 22nd. More points are gone from that number 37 machine. So Lawson might actually be in a position now where if he can get up to 3rd, then he might have a shot at the playoffs. We won't know until we can see the points at the end of this race. But Lawson might have a little bit of incentive to push forward here. Henderson is down more spots.
Darling's going to have at least be close enough to maybe make a move here. I don't know. Yeah, Lawson, if he's doing the math right, he's probably realizing that maybe he needs to get a few more points here. But it'll be interesting to see. We got a lap truck in front of Madalinas. Madalinas just asked him to move over. It looks like it's Foz now. He's going to move over.
Yeah, I think Madalinas has maybe got this one made. Darling hasn't made any inroads. He's pushing hard out of turn number 2. He tagged the wall just a little bit, but as they come to collect the white flag, Hunter Madalinas, the dominant driver ever since he got the lead off of pit stops, is looking to hold steady and take home another win. Ashton Lawson behind looks to make a move on Matthew Weeks to pick up as many points as he can. Elliot Henderson down in 22nd. That's as many spots as he can lose. I think that spot is wrapped up. So white flag, 1 more lap to go for Hunter Madalinas, your points leader, one of the most dominant drivers of the season. Darling catches the wall off too. That's it for the 1 truck. Madalinas has it made. Here comes Ashton Lawson down the inside on Matthew Weeks. Lawson's gonna wall the 56. Coming out of turn number 4, Hunter Madalinas shines bright under the lights of Darlington. He wins. Lawson comes home in 5th. Not able to get Matthew Weeks. Yes, he is. Scoring just updated, and Ashton Lawson comes home in 4th. We'll see if that was the point he needed to make the playoffs, but up front, Hunter Madalinas has done it again. Dominant in Darlington. He gets it done.
Yeah, it was a great run by Darling. We hadn't seen him up there all night to at least make Madalinas work for this thing. It was awesome to see him try to, right away on that restart, Darling hit the fastest lap of the race, so it was he was able, at least on the short run, to show the speed that a lot of these other trucks that were leading all night. We'll have to see the points and see who our last playoff spots go to, but yeah, Manalinas, our dominant driver all year, gets another win.
Yeah, Hunter Madalinas has been one of the best drivers all night, and I think tonight kind of showed why he might have the upper hand over Christian Peterson. You know, we came into this race kind of wondering which one of them would be the championship favorite. Obviously, they're the two winningest drivers of the season. And, well, while Hunter Madalinas was walking off with a race win, Christian Peterson was struggling to keep the rear tires on it, and he comes home outside the top 25. So Hunter Madalinas walks off with another win under the lights of Darlington. He is your winner once again this season. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the points before we get to our post-race interview? And no, Lawson was not able to do it. Elliott Henderson hangs on through adversity, finishes outside the top 20, but is able to nab that final playoff spot. So Matthew Weeks, Spencer Owens, and Elliott Henderson are the bubble drivers that make it in. And Jared Duda, really, the pit road penalty made the difference. Comes home in 18th, not able to fight for a championship. All right, let's start talking to your race winners, or sorry, your top three finishers. And if I can find him, we're going to start off with the 7 of Hunter Madalinas. Actually, I don't think I can move him, so Jeff, if you would be so kind to bring him up into the broadcast booth, and we can go ahead and get your interviews underway. Course, we gotta, consider just all the adversity he went through for this race win. He nearly got caught up in that wreck with the lap trucks. Had to hold on over Jared Darling on the restart, but in the end, nothing could stop that military green number 7 truck. Hunter, you've done it again. Another dominant win for you. Walk us through this race.
Man, it was a difficult one. I started deep in the field. I started 9th. That's just... I knew going into this race it was going to be super difficult to pass. I was just kind of coming into this race just hoping for a good run, gain momentum going into the playoffs, and man, the truck just felt amazing the entire night, and the strategy was just perfect that we called with the team, and this one was up there with one of my best wins.
Hunter, we know you like to be aggressive on track with some of the moves that you make, but tonight was different. You made an aggressive strategy move, an undercut. Ashton Lawson, you were able to take away the lead. Really, with how hard you were driving all night, were you ever worried about the tires or long run speed?
No, that was never really a concern. We wanted to make that aggressive first stop just due to, Ashton, I could see was struggling and was slower than us, but because of clean air, he was just able to stay ahead of us and kind of just hold us where we were. So I kind of made the plan in my head that I wanted to get down pit road early to try and gain that track position and see how that worked for me. And kind of after that first run, just saw that he wasn't going to be able to get to me because we had that clean air. And, after that, I just kind of kept my strategy based off of that. And, we're pretty fortunate with that caution that came out at the end. We're lucky we didn't get involved in it. We luckily neck coated our way through it, but got no damage from it. But, the clean air was the key, but, we did come in on that first stop about 5 laps too short. So we were short on fuel without that caution. So the strategy just worked out really good with the caution.
Definitely a little bit of luck and a lot of fighting through adversity for you. Looking ahead now to the playoffs, you go in as the number 1 seed, and well, I'd like to say your main championship rival is Christian Peterson, and he seemed to struggle tonight. What's your mentality going into the playoffs?
We just, got to keep riding this momentum that we've had. I think I've only had 2 finishes outside the top 5 this season, so and only 1 finish outside the top 10. So this season is all about momentum, and the biggest thing I gotta do going into these playoffs is just keep that up, keep these top 5 finishes happening, and just with the consistency, hopefully we're always up front at every race.
Hunter, a big congratulations again on this win. Is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just a big shout out again to the E95 guys. We worked again really hard at this track. I was running an insane amount of test laps in C fixed when it came here. I was just logging lap after lap after lap. I just wanted to learn this truck as much as I can. And, we're going to keep that up going through the playoffs. And, it's a grind for the whole team. I'm not sure if Elliott made it or not. I haven't gotten the chance to look at the points, but, if he made it, then good. We're going to have 2 trucks in there racing for the championship. If not, the team's priority is going to be focusing on me bringing home that first championship.
Well, I'm happy to inform you that based off of our graphics and our calculations up here, Elliot Henderson has made the playoffs as well. So you heard it here first. The grind for N95 has resulted in 2 of your trucks inside the playoffs. Hunter, again, congratulations on this win, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you, guys.
And now, standing by on pit road with your second place finisher is Ross Brockman, standing by with Jared Darling.
Jared, you were able to get back up near the front for the first time after that late restart, and have a chance to chase down Madalinas, at least get as close as possible. What did you need to officially get him, or at least get close enough to try?
I don't really know. He was definitely faster all night. To be honest, before that yellow came out, with how my season's gone, I was so content with finishing where I was, 4th, 5th, whatever it was. It's been a absolutely brutal season for me, and I've had the speed. I just haven't had luck at all. And I was sitting here waiting for it. I'm like, oh great, we're getting a yellow. Here comes me getting screwed over from a top 5 where I feel like I should be at. And luckily I got a good restart and was right behind Hunter there, and I was like, oh wow, well let's might have a shot at it. And I don't know, my teammates were telling me that he might have had damage from that caution, but I guess he didn't, because clearly he was still really fast. But I was so happy. I would have been so happy with 4th or 5th, but then when you get up there and you're in 2nd, now it just kind of sucks. But I'll take it. It's like I said, it's been a really terrible season, so it's finally nice to have a full, clean race, and no problems, no issues, and just get a nice finish. We're up here in the top 5.
Yeah, you talk about a clean race. A lot of the other drivers, kind of the same thing. It was a nice long run race as far as multiple green flag runs. What was the overall vibe of racing around your competitors tonight? Obviously, Darlington's a tough racetrack, but talk about racing around even lap trucks on old tires, lap trucks on new tires. What was that like?
Yeah, I think it's because this is just a track where you got to race the racetrack more than race each other, honestly. So I think that's kind of why it was cleaner. And this season's been a little rough lately, but this is the league that I know that we are. And tonight, was a great race finally. And having all those green runs, green flag pit stops, like I know we should be doing week in and week out. So that was awesome, and everybody drove pretty great tonight. And for being as tough as the racetrack it is, I mean that shows that we can definitely do it no matter where we're at. So. It's just a matter of time, I guess. But it was just nice to have a very not stressful race and get some racing actually for you guys to watch. So that it was really fun tonight.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. Thank you for chatting with us. And do you have anyone to thank for your run tonight? And we'd love to hear any shout outs if you have them.
Yeah, I always love watching the broadcast. I'm glad we got this one in. And shout out to Eric Hepp for the paint schemes, and all the throwback paint schemes is cool. Obviously doing this at Darlington, one of my favorite racetracks. It's so fun to drive, and I'm just glad we were able to have a nice clean race tonight. And shout out to all my teammates. Me and Barb were racing quite a bit there today, and we had some good battles. And that's about it. We'll see you. Well, actually, no, I won't be here next week. I just remembered, so that sucks. But we'll see you next time when I'm on the track.
Sounds good. We hope to talk to you again.
All right, see ya.
So that was your second place finisher, Jared Darling. Next up, Tony Manji brings home a 3rd place finish tonight. And Tony, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that we're talking to you this season. Something about you and this track just seemed to click tonight. What is it about Darlington that made you so good?
Yeah, we ran a lot of laps in practice, just trying to prep for this race in particular, knowing it was going to be tough, knowing there might be some attrition throughout the race. But man, what a fun racetrack. It's too tough to tame for sure. So we didn't end up with a Darlington stripe, thankfully, until the very, very end. But what an eventful ride for the 24 car tonight.
You talk a little bit about attrition, you talk a little bit about keeping it clean, but at the end of the day, it seemed like you really had to go out there and race for every spot on the track, considering we didn't have a lot of retirements and we mostly had a green flag race. How did you balance that aggression with wanting to keep things safe?
Yeah, I mean, safety was the priority tonight because the track can be so treacherous, and I think for everybody, that's why you saw a lot of green flag racing, because everybody kind of wanted to keep it out of the wall, keep it out of each other, especially, so I saw a lot more give and take this week just because of that. So it was a lot of fun, and boy, we got a lot of great drivers here. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely a lot of give and take. You were certainly able to make it work for yourself, finishing up in third. Looking ahead, though, we got the playoffs ahead that you will not be taking part of. How do you approach that as a driver, knowing that your agenda might be a little bit different than everybody else's?
Yeah, my agenda and my team's agenda for the rest of this year is just to get a win. Just to be up front and contend and maybe click off a win before the season's out. Because it definitely, as you said, it has not been our season at all with the 24 team. It's just been bad luck after crash after everything else. So the rest of the year is going to be winning and just finish as best we can.
Yeah, for sure. Tony, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I got to thank Manji Motorsports and my two teammates, Christian Peterson and Jared Duda. They did not finish as well tonight, didn't have the nights they wanted, but certainly they certainly helped us get up to the front. So thanks to them for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Tony, congratulations again on your third place run, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
So that's going to do it for our post-race interviews. That was Tony Manji, who came home in third tonight. A great finish for him after a disappointing season. Let's go ahead now and take a look at your finishing results from tonight's race at Darlington. Hunter Madalinas walks off with another win after starting ninth, a gain of 8 on the night. Great run for Hunter, and Jared Darling follows him home in second. Tony Manji comes home in third, and Ashton Lawson comes home in fourth. Matthew Weeks, actually your first driver who's going to go next week and fight for a championship, other than your race winner Hunter Madalinas, comes home in fifth. So a lot of underdogs fighting towards the front of the field tonight. Will Barbagelata comes home in P6, and Zach Henry comes home in 7th. Terrell Baker comes home in 8th. Austin Moore, a great run for him tonight, comes home in 9th. And Eric Kepf rounds out your top 10.
11th, we have the 5 truck of Brent Kingcott brings it home. In 11th. 12th, Shane Neiswanger. 13th for Aiden DuPont. We talked a little bit about him, just trying to get back up there. He had taken the wave around along with a lot of these other trucks here. The 40 of Nicholas Caressel, the 44 of Matt Durr, and the 16 of Jim Duda. But all those trucks taking the wave around on that last caution. So a little bit behind the rest of the pack, but just hoping for another caution. Didn't get it towards the end there. 17th is the 98 of Robin Durr, the 53 of Jared Duda. We talked about the penalty that he had early in the night. Just couldn't get back from that. The 19th was the 23 of Spencer Owens, able to just survive tonight and ultimately lock up a playoff spot. Jackson Sims rounds out the top 20 on that off strategy that snowballed into issues, but still able to finish in the top 20.
We definitely saw a lot of small mistakes tonight, adding up to big consequences. Sims and Duda were both running inside the top 10, and both come home outside the top 15. Speaking of drivers that had good runs go south, Gavin Fitzgerald, sort of been the story of the season for him. You gotta feel for the 14 truck. He comes home in 21st. Elliot Henderson, not the night he was looking for, comes home 22nd, but barely scrapes his way into the playoffs, so he will go next week and fight for a championship. Rod Fasnaugh comes home in 23rd. Chris Heller, 24th. Michael Senzi, 25th. He got involved in that late race yellow with Fitzgerald. Hunter Brittle comes home in 26th. Lewis Woodall, 27th. Christian Peterson, I don't know how else to say it other than disgusting night for him, comes home in 28th. He, I'm sure, will be very happy to walk away from Darlington. And Preston Henry rounds out your finishing results in 29th. So that is going to do it from Darlington. Next week, the chase for the Great Lakes Truck Series Championship kicks off at Homestead. That'll kick off a, 6-race playoffs. 7 race chase for the championship as those 10 drivers will go off to battle. Hunter Madalinas will be coming hot off the heels of 2 wins in a row, both tonight and last week. 2 weeks ago, at Dover. So look for him to be a force to be reckoned with as we kick off the playoffs from Homestead. But for Darlington, that is going to do it. On behalf of myself and Ross Brockman, Ross, unless you got anything else to say, I believe we're going to be signing out.
No, yeah, a great night. Awesome as always at Darlington. We love this place. But looking forward to the next 7 races. It's going to be awesome to see these drivers battle it out.
Yeah, the fight for the championship begins next week on Split Second TV. Before then, the OSRL Premier Series rolls into Richmond Thursday night, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But on behalf of myself Ross Brockman, and our producer, Jeff Johnson. That is going to do it for the Great Lakes Truck Series here at Darlington. Congratulations again to your 10 playoff drivers and Hunter Madalinas. We'll see you all next week from Homestead.